देहं च तं न चरमः स्थितम् उत्थितं वा सिद्धो विपश्यति यतो अध्यगमत्स्वरूपम् दैवादुपेतमथ दैववशादपेतम् वासो यथा परिकृतं मदिरामदान्धः देहं च तं न चरमः स्थितम् उत्थितं वा सिद्धो विपश्यति यतो अध्यगमत्स्वरूपम् दैवादुपेतमथ दैववशादपेतम् वासो यथा परिकृतं मदिरामदान्धः
देहं च तं न चरमः स्थितम् उत्थितं वा सिद्धो विपश्यति यतो अध्यगमत्स्वरूपम् दैवादुपेतमथ दैववशादपेतम् वासो यथा परिकृतं मदिरामदान्धः देहं च तं न चरमः स्थितम् उत्थितं वा सिद्धो विपश्यति यतो अध्यगमत्स्वरूपम् दैवादुपेतमथ दैववशादपेतम् वासो यथा परिकृतं मदिरामदान्धः
What meaning? Deham, material body, cha, and tam, that, na, not, charamaha, last, sthitam, sitting, utthitam, rising, va, or, siddhaha, the realized soul, vipashyati, can conceive, yataha, because, adhyagamat, he has achieved, swarupam, his real identity, daivat, according to destiny, upetam, arrived, atha, moreover, daivavashat, according to destiny, apetam, departed, vasaha, clothing, yatha, as, parikritam, put on, madira mad andaha, one who is blinded by intoxication. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Sri Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Because he has achieved his real identity, the perfectly realized soul has no conception of how the material body is moving or acting. Just as an intoxicated person cannot understand whether or not he has the clothing on his body. Translation repetition. Because he has achieved his real identity, the perfectly realized soul has no conception of how the material body is moving or acting, just as an intoxicated person cannot understand whether or not he has the clothing on his body. Purport. This stage of life is explained by Rupa Goswami in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. A person whose mind is completely dovetailed with the desire of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and who engages 100% in the service of the Lord forgets his material bodily demands. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimrandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Kadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Because he has achieved his real identity, the perfectly realized soul has no conception of how the material body is moving or acting. Just as an intoxicated person cannot understand whether or not he has clothing on his body. So, the symptom of a perfectly realized person, a perfectly realized soul, is mentioned in this verse. And one of the most important and fundamental symptoms or characteristics is, here Prabhupada explains, forgets his material bodily demands because he is 100% engaged in service of the Lord. So, this is very nicely explained in 5th, 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And Prabhupada explains in the purport, this stage of life is explained by Rupa Goswami in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So, one who is fully engaged in Lord's service, even while living within this body, he is liberated. So, he has nothing to achieve, nothing to fulfill for this body. He just maintains his body for the service of the Lord as much needed, because this body is also given by the Lord, so it has to be maintained properly. And he knows the purpose that this body has to be maintained only to the extent it is needed for engaging in proper service of the Lord, but not for sense gratification. Kamasya na indriya pritir labho jiveta yavata. So, one is free from na indriya priti. Bhagavatam says this, ki not for pleasing the senses, but only as much as needed. So, in 14th chapter, when Lord Krishna is explaining about the influence of three modes and how to become free from three modes, exactly this point is covered. Lord says, when you see that there is nothing beyond these modes of nature in all activities, and that the Supreme Lord is transcendental to all these modes, you can know my spiritual nature. So Lord is telling about three aspects. One is the living entity, that is when you see, means there is a jiva, when you see. What a jiva sees, he has to see, a realized soul has to see two things. Three aspects are there. First is the jiva himself. Jiva is the seer, he has to see. Three modes and the Lord. How the three modes act and his relationship with the three modes, the influence of the three modes, and his relationship with the Lord. So one has to see these two things. So now Lord says here, when you see that there is nothing beyond these three modes of nature in all activities. So what all activities a living entity in his conditioned state performs is governed by three modes, Satogun, Rajogun and Tamogun. So under these three modes, one develops desires. There are different kinds of desires. They are influenced by these three modes. But when one understands that I have nothing to do with these material desires, I have to do with what Krishna desires. So he has to, by the virtue of this transcendental knowledge, he has to discriminate between whether this desire is generated by three modes or it is generated by Krishna. Right? These three modes are influencing me or forcing me to desire pleasure, or it is Krishna's order that I am fulfilling. Sometimes in devotional service it also happens. We confuse between whether it's my personal desire to do something or whether it's the desire of the Lord. So we'll discuss about that. But before that, very interestingly, the Lord says that next verse, what is the state one achieves when he understands that I have to fulfill only Lord's desires. These desires, how do we understand my desire is self-generated or it is coming from the Lord? One has to take shelter of authority. Either one should directly hear from Krishna. Sri Prabhupada explains this. Just like Arjuna was fortunate enough to hear from Krishna, one should be fortunate enough to hear from Krishna. Right? The word Mad Vipashraya means under the protection of the Supreme Lord. To be free from material contamination, a pure devotee acts under the direction of the Supreme Lord or his representative, the spiritual master. Right? Now, Prabhupada says here that one has to either directly take the instruction from Krishna, just like Arjuna was fortunate enough to take from Krishna. But if one cannot directly take from Krishna, one does not understand, then he has to act according to the instructions of a spiritual master. So Prabhupada further says, a servant acting on the behalf of the Supreme Master has no affection for profit or loss. He simply discharges his duty faithfully in terms of the order of the Lord. Right? Now one may argue that Arjuna was acting under the personal direction of Krishna, but when Krishna is not present, how should one act? If one acts according to the direction of Krishna in this book, as well as under the guidance of the representative of Krishna, then the result will be the same. The Sanskrit word matparha is very important in this verse. Right? Now further Prabhupada says, it indicates that one has no goal in life save and except acting in Krishna consciousness just to satisfy Krishna. And while working in that way, one should think of Krishna only. Right? I have been appointed to discharge this particular duty by Krishna. While acting in such a way, one naturally has to think of Krishna. This is perfect Krishna consciousness. One should, however, note that after doing something whimsically, he should not offer the result to Supreme Lord. This sort of duty is not devotional service of Krishna consciousness. One should act according to the order of Krishna. This is a very important point. That order comes through disciplic succession from the bona fide spiritual master. Therefore, the spiritual master's order should be taken as the prime duty of life. If one gets a bona fide spiritual master and acts according to his direction, then his perfection of life in Krishna consciousness is guaranteed. So this is exactly what in today's verse is explained. That one who has achieved real identity, he is sent person Krishna conscious. So what is that achievement of real identity? That I have to act not under the influence of three modes, but I have to act under the direction of Krishna. Now Prabhupada very significantly says in that purport, if one acts whimsically out of his own accord and offers to Krishna, then that is not called pure devotional service. So to come to the stage of pure devotional service is not just engaging in some service of Krishna, it has to be assigned and authorized service. We always use these words. It's your assigned service, authorized service. So there are many assigned services. So many services are there which are assigned. Like deity worship is assigned, cooking is assigned, sankirtan, preaching. So many things are assigned. These are all services, authorized services. Right? These are services of Krishna to the Lord. But unless one is assigned to do that service and he whimsically does, or he was doing his assigned service, somebody is doing what is assigned to him, but he has whimsical ideas which are not in line with the instructions given by authorities, he may say, I am doing devotional service only. Right? I am doing devotional service only. But if it is not authorized to do, then it comes under influence. He is doing as per his pleasure. The way I like, how I want to do, I will do it, not within the framework of the organization, not within the framework of the instructions of Guru or the authorities. Then it is influenced by three modes. Then it is contaminated devotional service, actually. And then here it is written that the real identity, one who achieves real identity by 100% engaging in Krishna service, this will not be achieved. Because still one will be pleasing his mind, one will be pleasing his senses. Even though apparently engaged in devotional service, through that service, he is pleasing his senses. So as long as we derive some commission from some pleasure from the service we are doing for our personal gratification, then we are influenced by three modes. So here now Rupa Goswami says that this stage of life is explained by Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, a person whose mind is completely dovetailed with the desire of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Lord Krishna explains this in 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita again. Ichha dvesha samuddhena dvandva mohena bharata. This dvandva moha is my pleasure, my displeasure. I like, I don't like. I want to do, I don't want to do. In all these things, whenever we do service, I comes in the center. I like, I don't like. I want to do, I don't want to do. My desire, my aversion, my attraction, my repulsion. So, as long as these aspects are there, right, the determination in devotional service does not come. Esham tvantagatam papam jananam punyakarunam te dvandva moha nirmukta bhajante mam dhridavrata. Bhajante mam dhridavrata means by determination one serves Krishna. So why does the determination go away, or why somebody feels, why am I here? What am I doing here? It's not happening as per I want or I wish. Even though engaged in devotional service, as long as we are attached either to the service or to the result of the service or the benefit we derive, the pleasure or name, fame, or whatever gratification we derive, if we are attached to any of these, then it is our personal attachment. It is my attraction, my repulsion, my desire, my hatred. As long as this I or my is there in our devotional service also, this real identity cannot be achieved. And determination in devotional service does not come, without which one cannot attain this pure stage of knowledge. So, very nicely Lord explains these three verses. Here Lord says, first he says, what is the difficulty? Difficulty is our personal desire or hatred. Now we were reading in the 14th chapter, all the activities are influenced by three modes. So one who knows how three modes are acting and one who knows Krishna and Krishna's wish, then he can overcome these three modes. So Lord says, entities, all living entities are born into delusion, overcome by dualities of desire and hate, which are affected by, influenced by three modes. Now, when one engages in devotional service, as guided by the authorities, his modes are dovetailed, his modes are purified. Right? When these modes are purified, now next verse, 29th verse says, intelligent persons who are endeavoring for liberation from old age and death take refuge in me in devotional service. They are actually Brahman. So when one frees himself from his personal desire and hatred, when one is absolved of all sinful activities, when who has done lot of devotional service and attained punya, spiritual punya, then he comes to the realization of Brahman. Right? Because they entirely know everything about transcendental and fruitive activities. Transcendental activities means serving the desire of Guru, Krishna. And fruitive activities means influence of three modes, even while serving those orders, those instructions. So one has to very carefully distinguish between these. That whether it is my personal desire or in the devotional service, I am following authority. The service has come from authority. Service has come from Guru and Krishna. How much I am taking my personal benefit out of it, or how much I am influenced by three modes in those execution of devotional service, that much delay we are doing in realizing that we are Brahman. Now, Brahman means this real identity. It's here this Brahman, which is explained in 7th chapter, is not Nirakar Brahman or merging into Brahman. Here Prabhupada says that Brahman means that knowing oneself. Only persons who perform activities in Krishna consciousness are actually entitled to be called Brahman, because they are actually endeavoring to reach Krishna planet. So one who is engaged in Krishna consciousness, Krishna service, is entitled to be called Brahman. So Brahman means realizing one's real identity. Right? Realizing one's real identity. So first we are acting in material life, we are acting totally under three modes. When we come to devotional service, we are engaged in devotional service, but it is influenced by three modes. But simultaneously we are doing devotional service. That's called dovetailing. Dovetailing means let him do what he likes to do. He can do his desires, his urges will be engaged in Krishna's service. But eventually one has to consciously endeavor to overcome these urges, these liking, disliking, and do whatever Krishna says. So in 9th chapter, Lord Krishna says, Yat karoshi, yat juhoshi, yat ashnashi, dadashi, yat tapassasi kaunte, tat karoshi madarpana. Whatever you do it as an offering to me, do it as a service to me. Whatever you do it as a service, as an offering to me. Right? So whatever one person likes to, somebody likes to sing, okay, please sing for Krishna, sing Hare Krishna Kirtan, sing Vaishnava Bhajan for Krishna. Somebody likes to cook, okay, you cook for Krishna. Somebody likes to preach, go preach for Krishna. Somebody likes to do whatever he likes to do. It should be done, he should be engaged as a service to Krishna, as an offering to Krishna. So in this, his inclinations are also satisfied. I want to do this and it is getting satisfied. At the same time, he is satisfying his inclinations in the service of Krishna, and slowly he is evolving. But later on, Lord Krishna says in 11th chapter, Mat karma krin, do my service. Right? Without mat bhakta sangha varjita, without any material gain, without any speculative knowledge and the desire of material gain, do my pure service, pure devotional service. Mat bhakta sangha varjita. So do my work, not what you like to do, but what I am telling you to do. Right? Do my work. Mat karma kin, mera kaam karo Arjuna. Abhi tak tum apna kaam kar rahe the, you are doing your work for me. Now you do my work. And immediately Arjuna says at the end of Gita, Karishye vachanam tava. Now I don't want to do my liking, disliking. I will do what you instruct. Karishye vachanam tava. Whatever you say, I will do that. So in this way, Arjuna is setting an example of Karishye vachanam tava. Whatever you say, I will do. So when one engages in this kind of service, when one engages in service like this, then he immediately realizes he is Brahman, and he can very clearly see the difference between pure engagement and fruitive work or mixed engagement. This is how one attains this real identity, because he has achieved his real identity. So when one achieves this identity, it goes simultaneously. As much we engage, that much we detach from the body and mind. Correct? As much we detach from body and mind, that much we purely engage. The more we purely engage, more we engage sincerely, more detachment comes. When with more detached mind we do, more purification comes, and more we properly engage. It goes on simultaneously, progressively. Then one stage comes where he realizes, I have nothing to do with any material things. Now next sentence of the translation says, the perfectly realized soul has no conception of how the material body is moving or acting. So it doesn't mean he is just lousily walking here and there. I'm Avdhuta now, I'll bang here, I'll kick somebody, I'll lie down here. No. Prabhupada very clearly explains this point. He forgets his material bodily demands. Right? So one who is out of bodily conception, how do we know he is out of bodily conception? He forgets his material bodily demands. Right? So in 6th chapter it is explained. Prabhupada says in the 6th chapter purport very nicely. Here it is. As long as the material body exists, one has to meet the demands of the body, namely eating, sleeping, defending, and mating. But a person who is in pure bhakti yoga or in Krishna consciousness does not arouse the senses while meeting the demands of the body. So body has demands, body has its needs. We have to eat, we have to sleep, we have to protect the body, right? But one does not arouse the senses while meeting the demands of the body, right? So for a devotee, everything is service, right? Arousing means when we're eating, this is very tasty prasadam, I'll eat more of it. Though this is not so tasty, I'll eat less of it. So our hunger, our need is something, but when it comes to this, we are satisfying our senses. So Prabhupada says that yes, one should eat till here. But for whom he says one should eat till here? For a newcomer. But eventually one has to overcome overeating or eating to the neck point. And second, one has to bhalana khaibe bhalana poribe. So one has to overcome this. So there is a conscious endeavor to satisfy the requirements of the body without deriving pleasure out of it. So this is what Prabhupada is saying. That eating has to be there, sleeping has to be there, acting, working has to be there, one's own protection or, this thing has to be there. But without arousing the senses, one has to do this. Then next, rather he accepts the bare necessities of life, making the best use of a bad bargain. Somehow I am in this body. My goal is not to satisfy the body. Making best of bad bargain means body is there, difficulties are there, its demands are there. Prabhupada says for a devotee, sleeping is waste of time. If devotee sleeps more, he thinks, I have wasted so much of time in sleeping. He does not derive pleasure in sleeping. If he has to eat, Prabhupada says it has to come to minimum. Why have to spend so much of time in eating also? I should engage that much time also in Krishna service. This is what the Goswamis have established as principle. Raghunath Das Goswami, Haridas Thakur, they have established these land benchmarks of bhakti. But now we are in this body, we are occupied with this body, we are in the bodily conception also. So one has to somehow maintain this body, but not getting attached to maintenance or satisfaction of this body. This is called bare necessities of life, accepting, making the best use of bad bargain. What is the best use of bad bargain? Somehow body is there, I have to maintain, but let me feed this body, maintain this body and engage in pure devotional service. Let me train this body to overcome the influence of three modes. Let me train the mind to overcome the influence of three modes. Now, how that is achieved? Next statement. He enjoys transcendental happiness in Krishna consciousness. He is callous towards incidental occurrences such as. Now one has to train. Next training is becoming callous towards incidental occurrences. What are those? Prabhupada gives examples such as accidents, disease, scarcity, or even the death of the most dear relative. Right? He is callous towards incidental occurrences. Means he is not affected. His happiness or distress do not depend on these instances. If disease is there, he'll go for treatment. He'll not mentally get affected. Too much heat is there sometimes. Too much winter is there sometimes. It is there. It affects the body, but it should not affect the mind. Right? So callousness means being indifferent. Indifference comes in the mind. Body को धूप लग रहा है, गर्मी लग रहा है, body को ठंडी लग रहा है, body को pain हो रहा है, disease में there is fever, there is pain in the body. So many disturbances, stomach is upset, headache is there. These are happening to the body. I'm very much disturbed today. I'm not feeling well. Please don't talk to me. I'm very much disturbed. I am very much disturbed because body is disturbed means we are attached to the body. Our mental disturbance, right, because of bodily discomfort shows how much we are attached to the body. Our mental disturbance because here it is in scarcity. Some facility is not there. Time being some facility is not there for our service or for our maintenance. In ashram or somewhere in our service, there's some facilities withdrawn or some facilities unavailable due to some circumstances. We get disturbed. So one is not disturbed in scarcity also. One is not disturbed by bodily discomfort or disease also. By accidents, accidentally something happens to us or to somebody or something else happens. These are occurrences. Prabhupada has very nicely written the word occurrences. Right? Incidental occurrences. They affect the body. They affect our living, our eating, sleeping. defending, they affect these things. One should not mentally get disturbed. Right? If when we are getting mentally disturbed means we are attached to something very material. That's why we are getting mentally disturbed when these material instances or material occurrences happen. Then another one is death of demise of a near dear one, most dear relative. And also another place Prabhupada says, accidents never deviate him from his duty. Next sentence. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, agama paino nityas tam satikshasva bharata. So, tam satikshasva bharata, one has to learn to tolerate. He endures all such incidental occurrences because he knows that they come and go and do not affect his duties. In this way, he achieves the highest perfection in yoga practice. That highest perfection in yoga practice is achieving his real identity, which is mentioned in today's verse. So, a devotee is not ignorant about what he is doing. He is unattached. Being ignorant is different. Being unattached is different. Right? So, ignorant means he is not bothered about the rules, procedures, practices. That is called ignorant. Unattached means he knows, but he is not attached to personal comfort, personal gratification, personal pleasure, liking, disliking, ichha, dvesh. By engaging in this way, then one comes to the real identity. Now, Lord says, coming to what is the realization? When the embodied being is able to transcend these three modes, right? Previous verse Lord was saying, you see three modes and Krishna. And you see how three modes act, how Krishna acts, then you see under whose influence you are. Right? This is the previous verse of 14th chapter. Now, next verse he says, what is the result? When one clearly sees this, he knows that I should not serve the three modes, I should serve Krishna. What is the result he gets? When the embodied being is able to transcend these three modes, he can become free from birth, death, old age and their distresses and can enjoy nectar even in this life. This is what Srila Rupa Goswami has told. Right? And Prabhupada explains this in the purport. How can one stay in the transcendental position even in this body in full Krishna consciousness is explained in this verse. The Sanskrit word Dehi means embodied. Although one is within the material body, by his advancement in spiritual knowledge, he can be free from the influence of the modes of nature. He can enjoy the happiness of spiritual life. Right? That is the real identity which is spoken about in the discussion verse, today's verse. He can enjoy the happiness of spiritual life even in this body because after leaving this body, he is certainly going to the spiritual sky. But even in this body, he can enjoy spiritual happiness. In other words, devotional service in Krishna consciousness is a sign of liberation from the material entanglement, and this will be explained in the 18th chapter. When one is freed from the influence of three modes of nature, he enters into devotional service. So, even while being in this body, one realizes that I have nothing to do with this body, I have nothing to do with the demands of this body, I have to just maintain this body. Correct? It's a bad bargain, so I have to fulfill the desires of this body and engage in Krishna's service. So one will not think of pleasure. When I am not this body, I have nothing to give pleasure to this body. Right? This body is demanding pleasure. Mind is demanding pleasure. Body is demanding pleasure because of three modes, not because of constitutional position of mind. Right? It is my body's demand. It is not my demand. Like when I was studying CA, we used to work in articleship has to be done. So we have to work under a CA for some time as an intern. So in my office, there used to be one person. He was very addicted to tea. So 2-3 used to have tea regularly, and I or somebody were there who used to not take. So the tea delivery boy will come from outside. There will be one hand cart, and they'll be doing this chai thela. So that boy will come with a kettle and 2-3 glasses, and he'll serve everybody. So sharp 5 o'clock he used to come every day. Right. So someday we'll be working, we'll be very much, some accounts are mismatched, so we'll be working very deeply, and suddenly he'll say headache ho raha hai. Immediately we'll see the clock. It will be 5 o'clock. Chai wala ladka nahi aaya. So his headache started. He'll shut down the books, the records, and he will sit down like this, and he'll start. That time mobile was not there, 20 years back, I'm telling. So from there he'll see where is that gully, in that gully that boy is there, he'll shout, he'll wave, and he'll become very disturbed. So first thing is, as soon as he says headache ho raha hai, immediately we understand without seeing watch also now, 5 o'clock ho gaya hai, chai wala ladka nahi aaya hai. And he's thinking, I am having headache, I will not work. He's not understanding this body needs tea, soul doesn't need tea. Headache is with the body, not with the soul. I am soul. But that attachment, as soon as body is having headache, he is getting disturbed. Everybody, for us, everybody, it's happening like that. It happens like that. Today I am not feeling well. No, my body is unwell. I have nothing to do with the body. I am very much disturbed. No, mind is disturbed because of 3 modes. Soul is unaffected. Gita very clearly says, soul has nothing to do with this. Soul is aloof from all these activities. Only because soul identifies itself with these things, we say, I am very much disturbed today, I am very much happy today, or I am feeling this thing, I am feeling bad, I am having this thing, I am having that thing, it's this trouble, that trouble. Body is having all these troubles, mind is having all these troubles. So immediately that identification, ab main disturb hoon. No, I am not disturbed, body is disturbed, pain is happening to the body, not to me, right? So I have to, because I am attached to body, I am affected by this pain, let me treat. But nothing is happening to me. The moment we say it's happening to me, then we get down into the material identification of body, and then our actions, our impressions are like that. Then how will we come to this real identity? Right? How will we come to this real identity? And anything happens to this body, we get disturbed. Anything happens to others, we get disturbed. Anything somebody does to us, we get disturbed. Our happiness, distress is dependent not on Krishna, but now it is dependent on this body. How this body is functioning. How, if the body is healthy, I am feeling happy. If body is unhealthy, I am feeling upset or depressed, demotivated. Whole this thing is because we are identifying with this body. Right? We are identifying with this body. So how to overcome this? For this, Shravanam has to be very powerful. One Shravanam has to be very powerful. Very striking purport, Prabhupada says. Just to overcome this, I'll read a little bit before we end. Very striking purport, Prabhupada says. Arjuna has submitted to Krishna. The mind is very restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong, O Krishna. And to subdue it, it seems to me more difficult than controlling the wind. Right? So, because mind is the instrument, elevate yourself with the mind, or you fall down to the mind. Mind is an instrument, Shatru or Mitra. So Arjuna is saying mind is very obstinate, turbulent, restless and strong, and it's more difficult to control the mind than to control the wind. So Lord says, yes Arjuna, you're right. The blessed Lord says, O mighty armed son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind, but it is possible by constant practice and detachment. By constant practice and detachment, 2 things are told. How Prabhupada has explained the practice? Prabhupada says, by practice of, I am just reading part of it, by practice of Krishna consciousness, however, one engages in 9 types of devotional service to the Lord. The first and foremost of such devotional engagements is hearing about Krishna. This is 2 things. This is very powerful transcendental method for purging the mind of all misgivings. The misgivings in the mind can be removed. Purged means to remove out, throw out. Of all misgivings, this is very powerful method. Right? Very powerful method. And second thing, transcendental method. 2 things Prabhupada says about this. Very powerful and transcendental method for purging the mind of all misgivings. All misgivings. If our hearing, if our Shravanam is powerful, powerful means very attentive, very meticulously we are reading, hearing from Prabhupada, then we are having the most powerful transcendental method to remove or clear the mind of all misgivings. Second, now Prabhupada continues. The more one hears about Krishna, the more one becomes enlightened and detached from everything that draws the mind away from Krishna. So, hearing will save us from material attractions. Material attractions, Ichha, Dvesha, Samudhena. Material attractions are pulling our mind away from Krishna and engaging in material objects or topics, whether it's body, things, objects, situations, right? They pull our attention towards them and we forget Krishna. The more one hears, now Prabhupada says, how to prevent your mind from going into material thought process. The more one hears about Krishna, the more one becomes enlightened and detached from everything that draws the mind away from Krishna. See how powerful just hearing. First and foremost, Prabhupada says is hearing, and this is the power of hearing. By detaching the mind from activities not devoted to Lord, one can very easily learn Vairagya. Okay. Now, next Prabhupada says, this is practical. Fourth point Prabhupada is saying about hearing. This is practical. Because hearing about Krishna, by hearing about Krishna, one becomes automatically attached to the Supreme Spirit. So, most powerful, transcendental, protective from withdrawing the mind to Maya, and it is practical. This is practical, right? So, one should have that faith. Sometimes somebody is saying mind is just we say chant or read nicely. Bro, this and all I know, you please tell some practical solution right now. This I know. From folk days only I know chanting and reading is there. But Prabhupada says this is powerful, practical. It is transcendental. It will protect your mind from going elsewhere. Right? So that faith, that Shraddha has to be there. Then we can, see very clearly whether I'm in Maya or in Krishna. Otherwise, sometimes we'll not be able to identify whether we are in Maya or Krishna, and we'll be engaged in Maya services only, or in Krishna services, we'll be influenced by Maya and still trying to be in bodily conception by deriving our benefit from that service. So this real identity may not be achieved that soon, right? But devotional service is powerful. It will purify eventually. The more we are attentive towards it, the faster or quicker is our journey. And in this life itself, like we read in the 14th chapter, in this life, verily with this body only we can attain that spiritual goal or spiritual achievement. We'll stop here. Gantha Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
अपना काम कर रहा है मेरे लिए, अब तुम मेरा काम मत करो, तो ये अपना काम मेरे लिए और मेरा काम नहीं। अपनी इच्छा को खत्म करें। अभी जो सीनियर आपको भगवान को थोड़ा सा डिफरेंस बहुत बड़ा डिफरेंस
आपका satisfaction इसमें होता है, आपका satisfaction मैंने ईमानदारी से प्रॉपर एफर्ट डाला आपको एक पर कॉम्बिनेशन का दोनों कंपेयर करते हैं अब लेकिन आप देखो वहाँ के कॉम्प्लिकेशन सेंटीमेंट क्या हमारे यहाँ पे एक पॉइंट से आकर पूरा फ्रेमवर्क से बाहर जाते हैं कोई यहाँ से इतना अननेसेसरी और awkward बहुत ज़्यादा